there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them. They need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's Pop Culture Justice. I'm Andy Signore, and we got some breaking news. The verdict is in regarding the Ed Sheeran case. We got Christopher Melcher, attorney at law, and Steph the Alternate here to help us break it down. Welcome, you two. You excited for this big reveal? Oh my gosh, we talked about it yesterday. Well, let's not bury the lead. He won! Congratulations, Ed Sheeran won. I'm going to go right to you, Christopher. I mean, I'm sure your feelings probably aren't too different, but are you surprised by this verdict?
Well, I'm very happy for him because he was involved in this trial. He kind of really laid his heart out there. He explained how him and his co-writer Amy had come up with this song. He was very genuine about it. He was also hurt by the allegation that he would have stolen somebody else's creation. And it seemed like the right outcome, but you never know with a jury trial. It's unpredictable. And, there's some similarities in some of the chord progressions here between the two songs, but that could be said of mostly, so many songs. There's so many similarities between these songs that we love, and it doesn't mean that they were stolen. So I'm very happy for him that it came out the way it did.
Yeah, I mean, because we have a limited time, so Steph, I'll get you in a second, but just to lead with Christopher while we have him here, he did make a statement as well. I feel like the truth was heard and truth was believed, Sheeran told People exclusively in the courthouse following the decision. It's nice that we can both move on with our lives now. It's sad that it had to come to this. Also interesting as they break down, he was obviously very thrilled and hugged his legal team and co-writer Amy Wad. She wrote Thinking Out Loud, and then approached the plaintiff, Caitlin Townsend, the daughter of the co-writer. Again, this wasn't against Marvin Gaye. Let's make it clear. Marvin Gaye's estate and Marvin Gaye's family didn't follow this through. This was through a organization called Structured Asset Sales that bought, I guess, 30% of the rights to the song due to this co-writer of the song, Ed Townsend, who the family of Ed Townsend, who have purchased the shares, now we're going through this. Anyway, what was interesting, Christopher just shows, I guess, Ed's a good guy, approached Caitlin Townsend and smiled. They talked and exchanged hugs before exiting the courtroom, and then hugged his wife, who was there as well. Like, is that strange? He was pretty angry in this trial. It is interesting, though, that he still put that aside and went and hugged the person who was suing him and put him through this. I mean, he missed his grandmother's funeral. I guess the timing of that wasn't really their fault, but does that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, it speaks a lot to him. I think Miss Townsend had fainted. There was some kind of medical condition she had, and I think passed out during the trial. And he, was, I think, showed some empathy for her for that. So yeah, I mean, it's a big fight. Yeah, I looked into that structured asset purchase, so I understand now how that evolved on Marvin Gaye's side. That was, those rights were acquired from Marvin Gaye's estate, and then Townsend's, I guess, heir was or co-writer with Marvin Gaye's heir is suing also. But hey, I mean, yeah, it's a big emotional event. And Ed Sheeran, I was looking back at the history. He was also sued in England several years ago for some other copyright claim in an unrelated song. And he won that trial, and he got over $1 million worth of legal fees awarded to him in that suit. And that's under the English system where they can shift the fees. I don't think that that's possible here. But, he's been through a lot, and I'm glad that it came out the way it did, because had this verdict, had he lost, basically every artist would then be subject to similar claims because, again, there's so much similarity between the music that we listen to.
Well, that's the question I have. So, I mean, obviously, that's the story. There's not really much to it. The jury found him. It does, I guess, two questions. I want to talk about, do you think the jury was swayed? It seems like I already know your answer there, given the fact that he was given him a private concert. But I guess also, will this stop other, people, you think, in saying, okay, maybe we won't be able to win these cases as much as we thought? Because a lot of people are seeing this estate and this place as sort of money-grubbing thieves who are like, get your own job. Why are you going after this? Do you think this could stop future estates from, or at least give them pause?
Well, sure. I mean, there was the earlier case, and I'm forgetting the song that was involved, but that was
Blurred
one,
lines with yeah.
Yeah, that other case was one, and that was upsetting to a lot of people in the music industry, and was the kind of pathway for this case. And they're thinking, well, hey, if it turned out that way in the Blurred Lines case, then hey, why not here? So now we're seeing a different jury for a different song saying, no, we're not going to keep extending this protection in this way because. Again, it's these building blocks for music that, chord progressions or notes or the arrangements that are so similar between different songs. It doesn't mean that just because you're creating a song along the same style, that means that you're ripping somebody off. So, I got to think people are going to think twice about it, and it all just depends on the stakes. I mean, Ed Sheeran's song generated tremendous royalties or income. So there was enough at play there where maybe they're going to say, hey, I'll spend $1 million or $2 million in legal fees and roll the dice and see what happens to help to get much, much greater return on their money. So, this is the thing about jury trials, but I do believe that he came across as a likable and relatable person. He explained his process. He, again, bore his soul. He sang to the jury. So that is very difficult to overcome. Had he been in there and been entitled or standoffish, then maybe the jury would have liked him. And that makes honestly all the difference in a case.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's interesting because that Blurred Lines song was a huge hit too. So a lot of money was ultimately paid out, about $5 million to that. But yeah, do you think because he was able to be there with that guitar and sort of make those connections and saying things like, I'm never going to do this. I mean, some of the things he said there were pretty spot on. Like, why would I be such an idiot to steal one of the most popular songs of all time to perform it in front of 20,000 people? It makes no sense. It's true. Why would he do that? He doesn't need to do that. Do you think any of that did ultimately sway the jury? I mean, they were apparently already gone for 3 hours to make this verdict.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed clear enough when we were following the case how it should turn out. And what the plaintiffs were saying in there is that he did a mashup between these two songs where he brought in Let's Get It On, as a mashup with his song. And so the plaintiffs are saying, that admits that it's this, you copied their song, but Ed had pointed out that he had done mashups on other songs, like even a Dolly Parton song that he had done a mashup to. And again, the fact that these songs are similar is not an admission that they were copied. So,
right. You have to do it with malice, right? Like you had to prove with malice that he knowingly was ripping the song off, right?
No, I mean it's just that first of all that the Marvin Gaye had and Townsend had created that song, his original work of authorship and fixed it, either lyrics on a page or a sound recording or notes on a musical sheet. That creates the copyright. And then if somebody's copied that, if they've had access to it, which sure, we all have access to Marvin Gaye's song to listen to, that's really the element of infringement. So of course, if there's some intentionality, then it could be, higher damages. But here it's just, hey, did you copy? And so part of Ed's case was just saying, well, was Marvin and Townsend's song even an original work of authorship? Because he was able to point to songs that had similar progressions or chord patterns than Marvin Gaye's song did before he even wrote it. So, I think that was done very effective. So I think, ultimately you had a very relatable, likable defendant and very skilled lawyers and a smart jury. It comes out this way. But again, we could see another case down the road that comes out different. And that really stifles creativity because it's like how transformative and original can we possibly be as humans when we have this huge history of content out there? There's always going to be similarities because there's just a vast amount of creativity that's occurred.
Yeah, so I guess you basically, from the takeaway I'm getting as we wrap it up, your involvement, because I know you got to go. This probably will deter some, but not everybody. While Blurred Lines won, you brought up the fact, Shape of You was also under this copyright issue, and he won that one as well. And they proved he did not deliberately do it on purpose or subconsciously. One other quick thought. Thank you, Matt Bond, for that super chats. I'll give him in a second. But he made a good point. I wanted to add it, that the same chords looped because he uses a loop pedal. And so he's often using some of the same chords on purpose and doing that because he's got to use these pedals, is how he used to do it as a busker, I guess is what the terminology was on the streets of, like, he does all this cool stuff all on the fly so it can be looped and there's only so many chords. And so that's why a lot of his stuff is repetitive in that way. It's his style. Doesn't mean he's ripping it off. And I'm glad the jury found that. Final thoughts from you, Christopher?
No, I mean, it's good to see, justice served, and, but it's got to take an emotional toll on him. I mean, Ed was saying that if he lost, he would never perform again. So, hopefully he feels vindicated and he's able to go forth. But, again, it's good to see a case come out the way this did.
Well said. Make sure you follow Christopher Melcher over on Twitter at @CA_divorce. Always a pleasure when we can fit you in and you fit us in rather, and you're here. I know you got some stuff to run to, so thank you for being here. Go give him a follow on Twitter, folks. Thank you for the legal breakdowns as always. Have a wonderful day, sir.
Thanks. See y'all.
And all of you, if you're watching live, don't go anywhere. We're not done. But if you're watching on the replay, why don't you consider becoming a member today? You can hit that join button, pick a tier. You'll become a Planeteer. Woo-woo! Oh, I lost my button. There it is. Go Planet. Become a member today. Live viewers, let's get started. We got a lot more news to break down. Plus, I want to hear Steph's thoughts.